They wanted my half-alien son, but I'll burn the stars before I let them take him. The container, the hum of the outpost's aging generators, was the only music William McCartney ever got on night shift. Outpost 7 Proxima 3, just another corporate-owned dot carved into alien soil. The Centu Trading Corporation called it a frontier hub. William called it purgatory. The warehouse stretched like a metal cathedral, cold steel walls, echoing every footstep. Dim emergency strips cast pale blue shadows across stacked cargo containers, row after endless row. The recycled air was damp, making his thick beard itch constantly, and the humidity clung to his armored vest like a second skin. He adjusted the holster on his hip. The plasma pistol's weight was familiar grounding. On nights like this, it was the only friend he could trust. "Another thrilling night in paradise," he muttered, running a calloused hand through his sweat-damp light brown hair. Routine. That's all this job was supposed to be. Guard the entrance. Check the cargo. Don't ask questions. Easy credits for a washed-up mercenary trying to forget too many battlefields. But tonight, the routine cracked. The manifest listed 3 new containers, dropped during the last shift. Regulation demanded they be scanned and logged before secure transfer. Normally, William would have just waved the scanner, signed the report, and gone back to sitting on his ass. But as his boots echoed against the grated floor toward container A137, his instincts whispered something sharp and unwelcome. He paused, frowning. Years of mercenary life had burned those instincts into his bones. If they screamed, he listened. A faint sound vibrated through the steel. Not mechanical, not cargo shifting. Something alive. His stomach tightened. "Computer," he ordered, quietly scan container A137 for life signs. The warehouse AI chirped its reply after a pause that stretched too long. One life form detected. Humanoid. Female. William swore under his breath, hand already resting on his pistol grip. Of course, always my shift. Illegal trafficking. Smuggling sentience. A capital offense in this sector. If he reported it, the slavers who slipped her in would vanish into the void before corporate even filed the paperwork. If he didn't, he'd be next on the chopping block when security found out. But there it was, choice staring him in the face. Open container A137, authorization McCartney Alpha 9. The seal hissed, and the door swung open, and his world tilted. She stepped forward, like something sculpted from starlight and forbidden myths. Skin a glowing green under the pale warehouse lamps, light red hair tied back in a ponytail that framed her sharp yet delicate features. She wore metallic undergarments that shimmered functional, yet leaving very little to the imagination. Her eyes locked on his, bright, defiant, alive. For a moment, the hardened mercenary in William faltered. He forgot the pistol in his hand, forgot the cameras, forgot the rules. "What the hell am I supposed to do with you?" he barked, covering the flicker of awe with gruff frustration. The alien woman smiled, not fearful, not apologetic, a smile that disarmed more than any weapon. "Help me." Her voice was melodic, flowing like song even through the universal translator's mechanical undertone. William cursed again, lowering the pistol a fraction but not holstering it. "You realize if anyone finds you here, we're both dead. Smuggling sentience isn't a fine, it's a firing squad." I had no choice. She stepped out gracefully, every movement liquid. "My name is Kara. I'm seeking asylum." His pulse hammered. The cameras overhead blinked red, recording everything. He had minutes, maybe less, before someone noticed the container's unauthorized opening. His mind spun through options, every one of them leading to chains or a body bag. "Damn it," he muttered, making the decision he already knew he'd make. "Follow me." They moved quickly, William leading her through the shadow-choked maze of cargo. He swiped his ID through a maintenance access hatch, guiding her down into the guts of the outpost. Pipes hissed conduits, hummed the air tasted of metal and ozone. The maintenance level was a labyrinth of forgotten passageways, mostly ignored except by engineers. William had found a quiet chamber weeks ago, a storage alcove he'd converted into his private bolt hole. A cot, a small table, a panel light. Nothing luxurious, but it was hidden. And hidden mattered more than anything. He keyed the door shut behind them, heart still racing. "It's not exactly luxury accommodations," he said, activating the light. "But it's secure. The walls block most scanning frequencies." Kara stepped inside, turning slowly, eyes absorbing every detail like she'd been locked in darkness for weeks. "It's perfect." She turned to him, her gaze piercing, almost too alive for the sterile chamber. "Thank you, William." The way she said his name sent an involuntary shiver through him. He cleared his throat, forcing steel back into his voice. "I need to get back upstairs before someone notices. I'll bring food, water supplies when my shift ends." "Wait." Her voice halted him at the door, soft, vulnerable, nothing like the fearless tone she'd carried moments before. "Will you stay? Just for a moment." He checked his chronometer. 15 minutes before the next sweep. Too long to waste, too short to matter. Against his better judgment, he sighed and sat on the edge of the cot, keeping distance. Kara closed it anyway, sliding closer until their shoulders brushed. Her scent was strange, yet intoxicating, like flowers grown in alien soil. "Your species is fascinating," she murmured, studying his face as if memorizing it. "I've heard stories about humans, warriors, survivors. You achieved in centuries what others required millennia." William shifted uncomfortably, caught between suspicion and the warmth crawling under his skin. "Stories, huh? What kind?" "That you burn brighter than others, that you feel deeper, that your kind is capable of great passion." Her fingers traced the edge of his armored vest. The simple touch rattled him more than enemy fire ever had. William caught her hand gently, his larger fingers engulfing hers. "Kara, this is complicated. I'm risking everything just by hiding you." She leaned closer, her eyes locked on his. "Is that not what humans do? Take risks, break rules when they know those rules are wrong." Before he could answer, his communicator chirped. "McCartney, we've got an unauthorized container access alert in Sector 7. Report status." William jumped, heart pounding. Damn it, that was the container. He stood, every muscle tight. "Stay here, quiet, I'll handle this." As he turned for the door, Kara's voice followed, soft but firm. "Be careful, William, and thank you for being exactly what the stories said humans would be." False readings. The moment William climbed back into the main warehouse, he knew trouble was already waiting. Security Chief Tax loomed near the still open container. The Drachnid's scaled carapace gleamed under the pale lights, his 4 yellow eyes flicking across the bay with unnerving precision. 2 of his secondary arms twitched at his sides, restless, a bad sign. Thax's voice rumbled, a growl pitched somewhere between suspicion and accusation. "McCartney, explain this." William forced his breathing calm, plastering his best just another screw-up expression on his face, false reading on the manifest scanner. He said smoothly, "I was doing a routine check when the system glitched. Already filed the maintenance report." Thax's throat sacs pulsed, a sign of irritation. He stepped closer, towering over the human by nearly a head. A glitch, yeah. William gestured to the terminal nearby. I tagged it priority. Unless you want to explain to corporate why we're rejecting legitimate shipments over faulty gear. That hit the right nerve. Drachnids feared nothing more than corporate audits. Thax's secondary eyes narrowed, but William was already moving to the console. His fingers danced across the keys, not too fast, not too slow, just the rhythm of a bored guard doing his job. Lines of code filled the screen, but behind the curtain, William injected a fabricated maintenance log. One he'd built in his downtime, anticipating a night like this. Always plan your lies before you need them. He leaned back, arms crossed, letting Thax read the scrolling data. C-tagged. Locked. System fault. Thax studied the screen, mandibles twitching. After a long pause, he hissed, "Fine. But I want that scanner replaced before next shift. And McCartney," he leaned close, his breath hot and acrid, "if I find out you're lying to me, they'll never find all the pieces." William met his 4 eyes without flinching. "Understood, Chief." Thax finally turned barking orders into his comm as he stalked off. Only when the alien's footsteps faded did William allow himself a slow exhale. His palms were damp, his pulse still hammering from the confrontation. That was too close. The rest of his shift blurred. Every echo of boots on metal made his muscles tighten. Every flicker of the overhead lights felt like a warning. He cycled through the motions, scanning, logging, patrolling, but all the while his thoughts stayed with the hidden chamber below. With her. By the time his replacement arrived, William was exhausted, but there was no rest waiting for him. He ducked into his quarters, grabbed a pack and filled it with supplies, water ration bars, basic medkits and a blanket. The kind of things a fugitive in hiding would need. When he slipped back into the maintenance levels, his steps quickened with each corridor. The thought of being caught again didn't even slow him. It was as if some invisible tether was pulling him toward her. He keyed open the hidden chamber door, then froze. Kara was standing there wearing his spare shirt. The oversized fabric barely reached her mid-thigh, clinging in places where it had no right to. Her red hair, once tied back, now cascaded freely over her shoulders. In the dim light, she looked like something unearthly luminous. "I hope you don't mind," she said, a mischievous smile curving her lips. "My attire wasn't exactly designed for comfort." William set the pack down a little harder than intended. "It's fine. I brought you some things." She crossed the room with deliberate steps, movements smooth as liquid metal. "You're tired, stressed, because of me. I chose this." He tried to sound firm, tried to keep his eyes anywhere but the lines of her legs. "Then let me help." She reached for his shoulder, fingers warm, even through the fabric of his vest. "My people have ways of easing tension." William caught her hands before they could slide further. He didn't push them away, but he didn't let go either. "Kara, we barely know each other." "Then let's fix that." She tilted her head, her eyes reflecting the light with a mesmerizing glow. "Ask me anything." For reasons he couldn't explain, the question that tumbled out wasn't about her species or her homeworld, or why she was in that container. It was the one his gut demanded. "Why were you really there?" Her smile faded, replaced by something raw and heavy. "Because I refuse to be sold." The words hit him like a plasma bolt to the chest. "Sold. I was merchandise. Until I escaped." The weight of it settled over him. Slave traders. The Syndicate. Pieces started connecting in his mind. Unmarked containers, falsified manifests, sudden reroutes through fringe stations. "You were cargo," he said softly, fury coiling in his gut. She nodded once. "Now you understand why I can't be found." Why I had to trust a stranger. Why I had to trust you. His hand tightened over hers. He felt his protective instincts surge sharper than anything he'd felt in years. You're safe here. I promise. I know. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Then she leaned forward and kissed him. Her lips were warm, impossibly soft-tasting, faintly of spice and something floral. For a heartbeat, William forgot the outpost, the risk, everything but the fact that an alien fugitive was kissing him like he was the only man in the galaxy. Then his communicator chirped again. McCartney Taxi's voice snapped. Unauthorized container access alert Sector 7. Report. William jolted to his feet, cursing under his breath. He'd bought time, but not enough. Stay here, he ordered, grabbing his pistol. Don't move. Don't make a sound. Kara caught his arm before he could leave her eyes burning into his. Be careful, William. His chest tightened at the way she said his name. He managed a rough grin. Always. Docking Bay 7 was chaos by the time he arrived. Thax stood by the container, mandibles twitching as he barked orders. A group of workers shuffled nervously, scanning equipment spread across the floor. Then William's blood ran cold. The holodisplay flickered, revealing the sharp cybernetic lined face of a figure whose reputation stretched across half the known sectors, Commander Krell of the Syndicate Reclamation Force. William's instincts screamed louder than ever. The Syndicate wasn't just trafficking. They were here to reclaim property. He straightened, pulling on every ounce of mercenary training. His face became a mask of calm obedience as he stepped forward. Chief, report. Thax hissed, his 4 eyes glittering. Syndicate vessel claims stolen property. They say it's here. The hologram shifted. Krell's gaze locked on William's cybernetic eye, whirring with mechanical menace. You, human, security detail. His voice was a rasp of metal and contempt. We're tracking a female Verdante. Extremely valuable. She was here. William's heartbeat thundered, but he forced his voice steady. Haven't seen her, but I'll keep my eyes open. Krell's smile was all teeth and malice. You'd better, because if you're lying... His gaze lingered, that red eye glowing brighter. We'll know. The display cut. Thax turned to him. Station lockdown. All personnel will submit to genetic scanning. William's blood iced. He had maybe an hour, no more, before the scanners revealed everything. He nodded calmly, hiding the storm behind his eyes. Understood, Chief. But inside one thought consumed him. I have to get her out. Now. Trojan fire. The outpost hummed with an unnatural stillness. Docking clamps groaned as the Syndicate vessel settled into Bay 4, its sleek hull bristling with hidden weaponry. Even at a glance, William could tell this wasn't a trading ship. It was a wolf wearing the skin of a merchant, its predatory lines designed for pursuit and capture. He moved quickly through the maintenance corridors, every step measured, deliberate. His mind worked faster than his boots carried him genetic scans in 1 hour. Kara exposed, Krell watching everything. He keyed open the door to the hidden chamber. Kara was already on her feet, pacing, her hair loose and wild from nervous fingers. She stopped when she saw his face. What happened? They know you're here, William said flatly. Syndicate Reclamation Force, Krell himself. Fear flickered across her eyes, but it wasn't weakness, it was recognition. Krell hunts the ones who resist. He won't stop. Yeah, William muttered, grabbing the pack he'd left earlier. He started stuffing essentials inside with ruthless efficiency. Ammo packs, ration bars, 2 EVA masks. That's why we can't stay. Lockdown's coming. Genetic scans. Once they hit this level, it's over. Where can we go? He grinned despite the tension, that reckless human streak flashing. Who said we're staying on the station? The seeds of chaos. They slipped into a secondary conduit, moving fast. William's fingers flew across a hidden terminal, accessing security protocols through his clearance. On the screen, system after system flickered life support subroutines, gravity plating, defense grid. Kara leaned in close, watching his hands. What are you doing? Buying time. His eyes narrowed, jaw tight with focus. Syndicate's got cutting-edge scanners. Can't outmuscle them, can't outgun them. So we out-chaos them. Chaos. He smirked. Ever heard of a Trojan horse? She shook her head, red hair brushing her cheeks. Old Earth story. Soldiers hid inside a gift, snuck past their enemies' gates. I'm about to gift wrap you right out their front door. But first, he stabbed the final command. Alarms screamed through the outpost. Gravity flickered boots, lifted from the floor for a dizzying second before slamming back down. Lights strobed, systems crackled, air recycling hiccuped with a metallic wheeze. Through the security feeds, William watched Syndicate hunters curse as their scanners spiked with phantom readings. Systems registered false radiation leaks, corrupted life signs, environmental failures. Kara's lips parted, awe mixing with adrenaline. You did this. Little hobby of mine, William said with a grin that didn't reach his eyes. Never trust corporate code to keep you alive. Always write your own back doors. And the Syndicate, they'll scramble to fix everything. That gives us a window. Docking Bay Theater, McCartney's comm crackled, Thak's furious voice slicing through the chaos. McCartney, where the hell are you? The defense systems are targeting everything. Fix this or I'll have your hide. Working on it. Chief William replied smoothly, already cutting the channel. He turned to Kara. They'll expect me in the control room. Instead, we're going out there. Kara blinked. Out, you mean? He handed her an EVA suit, sleek but utilitarian. Spacewalk, maintenance route, safer than staying trapped while Krell closes the net. She pulled the suit on with practiced movements, clearly familiar with vacuum survival. When she snapped the helmet in place, her green skin glowed faintly under the visor's lights. Ready, she said simply. He hesitated, just a heartbeat, staring at her through the transparent dome. Beautiful, defiant, alive. He shook it off, jamming his own helmet into place. Then let's go. The black beyond. The airlock cycled with a hiss. The door slid open to reveal the abyss. Stars burned cold and sharp, scattered across infinity. The outpost's bulk loomed behind them, a jagged fortress clinging to the edge of Proxima 3's orbit. Antennae conduits and maintenance rails stretched across its hull like veins, a labyrinth of metal against the void. William's boots magnetized with a click as they stepped onto the hull. Stay close, he ordered over the private channel. We're heading to the auxiliary control panel on the far side. From there, I can override the defense grid. Kara moved with surprising grace, matching his careful steps. And Krell's ship. He allowed himself a grim smile. Let's just say it's about to have a very bad day. They'd barely covered half the distance when his HUD lit up red. Multiple EVA signatures closing fast. William muttered, "They're on to us." Through the Black Six Syndicate hunters emerged their suits, sleeker, heavier built for combat. Thrusters flared as they cut across the void with practiced precision. Kara's voice was tight. "They'll catch us. Not if we run." William deactivated his boots, grabbed her hand and triggered his emergency thrusters. Blue flames spat from his pack, hurling them forward as pulse bolts streaked past. Kara gasped. "They're firing in vacuum. Insane, yeah. Typical Syndicate." He yanked them behind a communications array as bolts carved chunks from the outpost hull. From his belt, he pulled a small device, innocuous, blinking softly. A maintenance drone. Reprogrammed. Dangerous. "What is that?" Kara asked. Improvised surprise. He tapped a command. The drone detached from the array, drifting innocently toward the pursuers. The Syndicate hunters ignored it until it detonated a sphere of compressed plasma, ripping through vacuum. 2 hunters tumbled into the void, spinning helplessly. Kara's laugh crackled through the comms, wild and fierce. "You continue to surprise me, human. Save the sweet talk for when we're not getting shot at." William grunted, dragging her onward. The last stand. They reached the auxiliary control panel, embedding themselves behind its armored bulk. William's fingers flew across the interface, inputting override commands. Syndicate hunters regrouped, closing in pulse fire, peppering the station around them. Kara crouched beside him, gripping a salvaged rifle from his pack. Her eyes blazed through her visor as she returned firebolts flashing across the void. "Whatever you're doing, hurry." "Almost. There." William snarled, teeth clenched. "Just need." The turrets roared to life, swiveling with deadly speed. But instead of targeting Krell's ship as William intended, they fired wildly into space, blasting random debris and satellites. "Not what was supposed to happen." William growled, fingers hammering commands. Then a voice cut through their comms, oily and mocking. "Impressive, McCartney. You almost had us." "Krell." The Syndicate commander floated into view, propelled by some advanced propulsion system that made him look like he was striding across the stars. His cybernetic eye glowed like a bloody sun. His armor shimmered with enhancements, metal and flesh, twined in grotesque efficiency. Kara Krell purred. "My dear, you've led us on quite a chase, but it ends now." Kara stiffened beside William. Her voice was steady, but her hand trembled. "You'll never have me." "Oh, I already have more than I need." Krell's smile was sharp as razors. "Our scans don't lie. Your genetic profile, compatible with human DNA. 2 unique specimens, 1 priceless hybrid. You've made yourselves worth more than any Syndicate haul in years." William froze, shock slicing through his chest. He glanced at Kara, her eyes wide, lips parted. She hadn't told him this. Couldn't have. Krell extended a clawed hand. "Come peacefully, both of you, and perhaps I'll let your human pet live." William's hand slid to his belt. Fingers closed over a small device. A last resort. He raised it high, its activation light pulsing like a heartbeat. "Back off, or I blow your ship's power core." Krell's laughter echoed cold and metallic. "You're bluffing. You'd kill everyone on this station." "Try me," William snarled. His voice was iron. "I've got nothing left to lose. You made sure of that." Krell's eye whirred, analyzing him. Such passion, such recklessness. Humans truly are fascinating. Kara's hand slid into William's, her voice cutting through the void with a fire that made Krell flinch. "It's not about sacrifice. It's about choice." "And what choice is that?" Krell asked. "This one." She raised her rifle and fired. Fire in the void. The pulse bolt connected. Krell's ship shuddered as Kara's shot slammed into the exposed docking clamp. Sparks erupted. Metal shrieked, and emergency protocol screamed across the Syndicate vessel's hull. Alarms flickered red across William's HUD. The sudden lurch tore Krell's hunters off balance. Tether lines snapped. 2 spun helplessly into the black void, their thrusters firing wild. William didn't hesitate. His palm slammed onto the auxiliary control panel. Code he'd seeded weeks ago, hidden, risky, meant only as a desperate fallback unfurled like a serpent. The defense turrets swiveled in unison, no longer scattering fire into empty space. They locked every barrel, targeting Krell's ship. The airless battlefield lit up with a strobing inferno as the turrets opened fire. Krell roared over the comms, his voice a jagged blend of rage and mechanical distortion. "You fool! You'll doom us all." William raised the pulsing device in his hand, the quantum detonator. Its light throbbed like a heartbeat, reflected in Krell's cybernetic eye. "No," he said coldly, "just you." And he threw it. The small device tumbled in slow motion through the vacuum spinning between them. Then it pulsed once, twice, and detonated. Not a fiery blast, not in space, but a shockwave, a ripple of warped gravity that ripped through the void like an invisible fist. The Syndicate commander's form twisted as the wave struck him, his propulsion systems spasming. His remaining hunters were flung away like leaves in a storm. Krell's ship shuddered again, its damaged clamp ripping free as it tried to disengage from the outpost. The engines flared systems, straining emergency jump protocols, engaging. William grabbed Kara, pulling her into his arms, bracing as the explosion's aftershock sent them both tumbling. "Hold on!" Through the chaos, they watched Krell's ship rip free and vanish into hyperspace, dragging its surviving crew with it. Their screams cut off mid-transmission, devoured by the fold of space-time. And then there was silence. Aftermath. William's breath came ragged over the comms, his visor fogged with sweat. He tightened his grip on Kara, the adrenaline still roaring through his veins. "That was your plan?" Kara asked, voice shaky with disbelief. "Force them into a blind jump," more or less William admitted, his laugh edged with exhaustion. "Didn't expect them to drag half their crew along. Call that a bonus." Kara's laugh bubbled up, breathless, half hysterical but alive. "You impossible brilliant human." William adjusted their thrusters, pulling them toward the emergency access hatch on the outpost's hull. "Brilliant's not what Thax is going to call me once he finds out what I just did. Then we don't give him the chance." He shot her a glance, and through the reflective visor he could still see the fire in her eyes. Bold, defiant, absolutely unbroken. For a moment in the starlight, she looked less like a fugitive and more like a queen. The escape. Inside chaos reigned. Syndicate alarms had triggered full lockdown protocols, but the cascading failures William seeded made systems stutter and glitch. Docking bays sealed. Power fluctuated. Security teams tripped over false alerts. It was the perfect cover. They moved quickly through maintenance shafts, EVA helmets tucked under their arms. William's mind worked like a battlefield map, where cameras would still be blind, which corridors patrols would avoid, which vents could still be forced. They reached the hangar where smaller freighters were docked. William's eyes swept the rows of ships. Most were tag-tracked corporate-owned. But there, tucked in the far corner, a battered Raelian freighter, its hull patched with mismatched plating. A junker, but a fast junker. "This one," William said, pointing. Kara's brow furrowed. "That ship looks like it's held together by tape." "Exactly. Nobody tracks the junkers." He keyed open the hatch with a code breaker, praying its locks were as old as the hull suggested. The door hissed open. Sea practically invited us in. They scrambled aboard William, heading for the cockpit, Kara settling beside him. Systems flickered reluctantly to life, the console humming with age. William's hands danced across the controls. He disabled transponders, fried the tracking beacon, rerouted power to the engines. Years of mercenary work made the actions instinctive. "Autopilot's good enough for a jump," he muttered. "But first, we need to sleep out under the chaos." As if on cue, the station's defense turrets fired again, still caught in William's override loops. External fire masked their engine flare perfectly as the freighter slid from its dock and vanished into the black. The quiet between. For the first time since the container door opened, they were alone. The freighter's hum was softer than the outpost's heavy thrum. Holographic stars painted the cockpit, their course pulling them toward the safety of deep space. William finally let his body sag into the pilot's chair. His muscles ached, his head pounded, but they were alive. Beside him, Kara traced the star charts with her slender fingers. Her green skin glowed faintly in the blue hollow light. The outer rim, she said softly, less Imperial presence, more places to disappear. Supplies first, William replied automatically. Better ship second. Then yeah, rim sounds good. She studied him, her lips quirking, always thinking ahead. That's what I love about humans. He turned, caught off guard. Love. Her smile deepened. She shifted, perching on the arm of his chair, among other things. He opened his mouth to argue some protest about timing, danger, professionalism. But the words evaporated when she leaned in her warmth, pressing against him, her lips claiming his with sudden certainty. For a moment, the galaxy disappeared. No Syndicate, no hunters, just the electric connection of survival and desire colliding in fire. When they finally broke apart, breathless, William managed a weak laugh. We should check the ship systems. They can wait. Kara whispered, eyes dark with hunger. Right now, I need to show you how grateful I am. The bond forged. What followed wasn't just passion. It was a release of fear, of grief, of every chain that had bound them both. William touched her, as if reminding himself she was real, alive, free. Kara met him with fire, each kiss a vow, each breath a promise. The junker freighter's small cabin became their sanctuary, their battlefield, their refuge. Two fugitives from different worlds finding in each other the one thing neither had expected: belonging. Later tangled together, her head resting against his chest, Kara traced idle patterns over his skin. I never expected this when I stowed away in that container, she whispered. William chuckled, pressing a kiss to her hair. What falling for a devilishly handsome human. Her laugh was soft, warm. Finding someone who would see me as more than property, who'd risk everything to give me a choice. He tightened his arms around her. You're not property, never were, and anyone who says otherwise will have to go through me. Her answer was a drowsy, contented murmur. My fierce protector. For the first time in years, William allowed himself to believe he had something worth more than survival. The shadow ahead. But peace never lasted, not in this galaxy. Hours later, as the freighter drifted on autopilot, the proximity alarm blared. William jerked awake, Kara sitting up beside him. He rushed to the console, scanning the readout. Multiple ships dropping from hyperspace, forming a net. Not Syndicate, not corporate, military configuration. They reported us, William muttered, jaw tight. Imperial Navy. Kara's hand pressed protectively to her abdomen. Instinctive. Options. Two, William said grimly. Outrun them or outthink them. Her gaze met his fierce and unwavering. Then do what humans do best. He cracked a roguish grin despite the noose tightening around them. Chaos it is. The gambit. The freighter's cockpit filled with the shrill pulse of the proximity alarm. William's fingers danced across the controls, pulling up the tactical display. 6 vessels had dropped from hyperspace in perfect formation. Sleek, angular, bristling with weapons, Imperial Navy craft. Not Syndicate scavengers, not corporate enforcers. Professionals. He swore under his breath. They're not wasting time. Kara's hand hovered near his shoulder, her voice tight. What are our options? Few, and none good. His eyes flicked over the display. We're faster than them, but low on fuel. Outrunning's off the table. If we fight, we're scrap. Her gaze hardened. So we do what humans do best. He allowed himself a crooked grin. Yeah, we lie. The bluff. He flipped the freighter's comms channel to broadcast. Static hissed, then cleared. This is cargo vessel, stellar wind. Power core is unstable critical fluctuations in containment field. Request immediate assistance. The response was immediate. A clipped professional voice filled the cockpit. Stellar wind. This is Imperial cruiser Relentless. Power down engines and prepare for boarding. William pitched his voice just right. Panicked but not sloppy. Negative Relentless. Core containment is failing. We can't shut down without risking a cascade failure. Attempting emergency jump to dump excess energy. Stellar wind. Do not attempt hyperspace jump. Repeat, do not attempt. You will. William cut the transmission, winking at Kara. Now for the fun part. Her eyes widened. You're bluffing an unstable core. Not bluffing. He tapped the console. Energy readings spiked the reactor, humming angrily. Modified the diagnostics. Looks like a meltdown to them, but safe enough if you know the trick. Kara exhaled, half a laugh, half disbelief. You are insane. Not insane. Human. Into the storm. Instead of fleeing, William angled the freighter toward a gravitational anomaly, less than a parsec away. The nav display flashed warning after warning. Unpredictable tidal forces, spatial distortion, sheer suicide for most ships. They'll think we're desperate, William said, feeding in course corrections. Trying a blind jump. Instead, we slingshot. The freighter's hull rattled, groaned, as it skimmed the anomaly's outer edge. Warning klaxons filled the cockpit. William's hands were steady calm, guiding the ship through chaos like a knife through smoke. Behind them, the Imperial ships held their distance. Sensors confirmed what they wanted to believe, a dying freighter about to cook itself. None dared close. Kara gripped the edge of her seat as the ship bucked. Her stomach twisted, not just from the motion. She pressed a hand low against her abdomen, a strange warmth pulsing beneath her skin. William, she started, but a violent shudder cut her off. He glanced over. You okay? I think so, she lied, forcing her voice steady. Focus on flying. The spin of death. The anomaly's pull gripped the freighter like a giant's hand. The ship spun, gravity clawing at its hull, alarms shrieking in protest. Panels flickered, power surging erratically. William's knuckles whitened on the controls. Hold together, you piece of junk. Kara clenched her teeth, fighting waves of nausea and heat. Her skin tingled, faintly glowing in places. She recognized the signs. Her people's ancient stories whispered of it. But now, in the heart of chaos, it felt terrifyingly real. The ship tumbled, spun, then rocketed free. The anomaly hurled them across space like a stone from a sling. Silence fell. William sagged back, drenched in sweat. They'll think we either blew up or got torn apart. By the time they stop scanning debris, we'll be long gone. Kara managed a weak laugh. Brilliant plan, though. Next time, maybe something with less spinning. He reached over, squeezed her hand. Sorry, beautiful, but hey, it worked. She smiled faintly, but inside dread coiled tight. The warmth in her abdomen pulsed again, stronger. She didn't tell him, not yet. The drift. For hours, they powered down everything but life support, letting the freighter drift cold and dark. No sensor pings, no energy trails. Just two fugitives, wrapped in silence. William sat at the console, eyes scanning for any pursuit. He forced himself to stay awake, mind replaying every detail of Krell's threat, every risk they'd taken. Behind him, Kara lay on the narrow bunk, her body glowing faintly in the dim light. She turned restlessly, pressing a hand to her stomach. The fluttering inside her wasn't illness. It was life. Life merging, changing, accelerating. When William finally turned, exhaustion dragging at him, he saw her curled on the bunk skin, shimmering softly. For a moment he thought it was just fatigue playing tricks. Then her eyes opened. "Kara," she hesitated, then sat up, pulling the thin blanket tighter around her shoulders. "There's something I need to tell you." He crossed the small space crouched in front of her. Concern hardened his voice. "What is it?" She took his hand, pressed it gently against her abdomen. He felt it the faintest pulse beneath her skin. Warm, alive. "I'm pregnant." The revelation, William's mind froze. His mouth open-closed, but no words came. His mercenary brain, so quick with tactics and lies, went blank. Pregnant. Kara's eyes searched his face. "Our genetic codes merged perfectly. My people have legends of this, but I thought they were just stories. Until now. Shock, then wonder, then fear. They cycled across William's features before settling into something else, something fiercer." He cupped her face with both hands, leaning close. "Whatever happens, we'll figure it out. Together." Tears shimmered in her eyes. "You don't understand. My people gestate quickly. Weeks, not months. It's already begun." William pulled her into his arms, his voice rough but steady. "Then we move faster. We find somewhere safe. No syndicate, no empire, just us." She pressed her forehead against his, whispering, "What the hell am I supposed to do with you?" He kissed her softly. "Love me. Trust me. Let me protect both of you." The shadow returns, their quiet moment shattered with a piercing alarm. Proximity sensors flickered back to life, multiple ships dropping from hyperspace at the edge of the sector. William's jaw tightened as he scanned the readings. The signatures weren't Imperial, they weren't random pirates either. Syndicate tech, modified, predatory. Kara's hand flew to her stomach, instinctive, protective. Krell. William's eyes narrowed, fire burning in his chest. "Doesn't matter how many times he crawls back. This time I finish it." He slammed a fist on the console powering the freighter's engines. The hum rose like a war drum. "Hang on, beautiful," he growled. "The galaxy just declared war on my family." New Haven. The freighter drifted into the asteroid belt like a shadow. Massive rocks spun slowly in the void, their jagged surfaces catching faint glimmers of distant starlight. Nestled within the belt lights, flickered habitats strung together like beads on a wire. The colony of New Haven. William leaned forward in the pilot's chair, eyes narrowing as the freighter sensors scanned the cluster. Half-built domes, industrial rigs, old mining platforms, welded into something that resembled a city. A frontier patchwork, rough but alive. Kara studied the view, her green skin faintly glowing in the console's blue light. "It doesn't look like much." "It's perfect," William replied. "Places like this don't ask questions so long as you've got credits." And I made sure to lift a few accounts before we left the outpost. Her lips curved into a tired smile. Always thinking ahead. He smirked though fatigue pulled at the edges of his face. Old mercenary habit. Survival means planning your exit 3 times before you even arrive. Settling in. 2 weeks passed in a blur of cautious relief. New Haven wasn't paradise, but it was safe for now. Their quarters were small, tucked in one of the residential domes, a single room with recycled air, a cot barely wide enough for 2 and a viewport overlooking the glittering asteroid belt. William picked up day work security patrols, odd jobs in the industrial sector, just enough to keep them fed without drawing attention. Kara stayed hidden, venturing out only at night, when the colony's crowded thoroughfares masked her alien features. It should have been simple, safe, But Kara's body changed with alarming speed. The acceleration. One evening, William returned to their quarters with supplies. He keyed open the door and froze. Kara stood by the viewport, her silhouette lit by starlight. Her shirt stretched tight over her abdomen. Not just slightly, noticeably. She turned at his sharp intake of breath, her red hair cascading down her back. "It's happening faster than I expected." He dropped the supplies, crossing to her in 2 strides. How fast? A few weeks, maybe less. She laid a hand on her belly where faint pulses of light shimmered beneath her skin. "My people evolved this way for survival. Rapid gestation. But this..." Her eyes shimmered with both fear and wonder. "This is different. Stronger." William cupped her face, his thumb brushing her cheek. His voice was steady, though his chest tightened like a vice. "Then we adapt. We protect both of you, no matter what it takes." Her lips curved faintly. "You sound so certain." "Because I am." He pressed his forehead to hers. "I've made enough mistakes in my life. This won't be one of them." The shadow returns, their fragile peace shattered a week later. William was monitoring colony defense feats, part of his new patrol assignment, when an unmarked fleet dropped from hyperspace at the belt's edge. Sleek, sharp signatures, predatory energy readings. Syndicate. William's blood turned to ice. He punched his private comm to Kara. "Beautiful, we've got trouble. Krell's here." Her voice trembled, but she answered instantly. "How many?" "Too many. And he knows where to look." Moments later, alarms blared through the colony. The AI's voice echoed across every dome. "Unknown vessels have breached defense perimeter. Security protocols engaged. All residents remain in your designated sectors." The sound of panic filled the corridors outside. William grabbed his rifle, already moving. "Meet me at the maintenance tunnels. We can lose them in the crowd." The flight. They met at a junction near the industrial dome. Kara was pale, one hand pressed to her abdomen, but her eyes blazed with determination. "Are you all right?" William asked, scanning her quickly. "The pregnancy is accelerating. The changes." She swallowed. "But I can keep moving." He squeezed her hand. "Good, because we're not stopping." They pushed through the chaos, weaving between colonists, rushing for safe zones. Explosions rocked the domes as the Syndicate pressed their attack. Emergency barriers slammed down ceiling sections to prevent decompression. "They're hunting us," Kara realized, her voice tight. "Section by section. Then we stay ahead of them," William growled. The interception. They had just cleared into the industrial sector when a familiar voice cut through the din. How touching. William's spun rifle raced. Krell stood at the far end of the corridor, flanked by 2 heavily armed hunters. His cybernetics gleamed more extensive than before. His last encounter with the quantum detonator had clearly scarred him twisted flesh, now replaced with steel. Kara's breath caught. "Krell." The hunter commander's artificial eye whirred, locking on her abdomen. The miracle of life. A unique hybrid of human and Verdante DNA. Do you have any idea what the research alone is worth? "You're not touching her!" William snarled, stepping forward, rifle leveled. Krell's laugh was cold and jagged. "You still think you have a choice?" The wall behind them erupted inward as more Syndicate hunters poured through, weapons blazing. William reacted instantly, shoving Kara toward a side passage. "Run! Get to the shuttle bay. I won't leave you. Trust me, I'll be right behind you." The line in the sand. William unleashed covering fire pulse bolts, scorching the air. Hunters scattered for cover. Krell advanced his metallic limbs, absorbing the shots with grotesque ease. "Do you think you can hold me back, human?" The commander sneered, You're only delaying the inevitable. William's lips curled into a grim smile. Delaying's all I need. Colonial defense forces stormed in from the flanks, drawn by the firefight. The Syndicate had underestimated New Haven's backbone. Hardened miners and mercs fought like demons when their homes were threatened. William slipped through a maintenance hatch, vanishing into the tunnels, while chaos erupted behind him. The abandoned bay. Meanwhile, Kara reached the abandoned shuttle bay, barricading the doors with trembling hands. Her body glowed faintly, the accelerated changes surging. Pain racked her frame, but she fought through it, whispering to the life within her. Hold on, little one. Your father's coming. He always keeps his promises. Outside, gunfire and explosions shook the walls. Inside, her glow intensified. The ancient instincts of her species, the birthing light, were already awakening. William's oath. William fought his way through the industrial tunnels, side by side with colonial defenders. The Syndicate's invasion had united the fractured factions of New Haven. Dock workers, miners, mercenaries, they all fought shoulder to shoulder, holding the line against Krell's hunters. A colonial officer grabbed his arm mid-fight. Shuttle bay's just ahead. We'll hold them here. Go to your family. Family. The word hit William like a physical blow. In weeks, his life had transformed from mercenary exile to protector, partner, father. He pushed forward, rifle blazing, every shot a promise. The reunion. He reached the bay doors, forcing them open against her barricade. Kara. Her voice answered, strained but fierce. Here, he rushed inside. She was on her knees, glowing, clutching her abdomen. Pain etched her features, but her eyes still burned with defiance. The baby. He's coming now. William dropped his rifle, falling beside her, gripping her hand. I'm here, beautiful. I'm here. Above them, the colony's defense platforms thundered, trapping Krell's fleet against the asteroid belt. Syndicate ships exploded in streaks of fire. The ground forces below fought with desperation, but New Haven held. Inside the shuttle bay, none of that mattered. Kara's cry filled the chamber, and William McCartney, mercenary outlaw fugitive, became something more. A father. The hybrid born, the shuttle bay trembled under distant bombardments, dust raining from its cracked ceiling. William knelt beside Kara, her skin shimmering with an otherworldly light. The glow pulsed in rhythm with her ragged breaths, spreading across her body like molten gold beneath emerald skin. He gripped her hand, his other arm, bracing her trembling shoulders. I'm here. I'm not leaving. Her eyes locked onto his fears through the pain. Our child. He's coming now. William's throat tightened. Fear, awe, love it all slammed into him like a shockwave. He brushed sweat-soaked hair from her face, his voice hoarse but steady. Then let's bring him into a galaxy worth fighting for. The last intrusion. The bay doors buckled inward with a thunderous crash. Sparks erupted, metal screamed, and then Krell emerged. Twisted, more machine than flesh. His cybernetic limbs hissed with hydraulic fury, his artificial eye burning like a red star. Behind him, hunters swarmed, their weapons glowing with lethal promise. Kara cried out, her glow intensifying, flooding the chamber with radiant light. Krell's mechanical voice reverberated, laced with hunger and malice. At last, the key to a new species. Mine. William's blood turned molten. He rose to his feet, placing himself between Kara and Krell, rifle raised, jaw clenched like iron. She's not yours. He's not yours. You'll never touch them. Krell advanced, his hunters fanning out. Step aside, human. You've played your role. You've proven the legend. Now you will be discarded. Not today. William's voice was a growl, his rifle steady. Not ever. The fathers swore. The hunters searched. William opened fire, his plasma rifle spitting bolts of incandescent fury. He fought like a man possessed, every pull of the trigger echoing with a vow. "You will not take my family." Pulse fire lit the bay's scorching walls, tearing through crates. One hunter fell, then another, their bodies sparking as they hit the floor. But still more pressed in their numbers overwhelming. William ducked behind the console, heart hammering, reloading with trembling hands. "Come on, McCartney," he muttered. "One more fight, just one more." Behind him, Kara screamed a cry that was half labor, half defiance. The glow around her blazed brighter, filling the chamber with blinding radiance. Krell hissed, shielding his optics. "She's triggering a birthing surge. Stop her." The miracle. Then it happened. A cry pierced the chaos, not Kara's, not William's. Higher, new, alive. William turned stunned, his rifle forgotten. In Kara's arms, wrapped in the shimmer of her birthing light, was a child. Their child. His son. Tiny, fragile, yet already radiating a presence that felt more. His skin carried a faint green tint, shifting subtly with the light. His eyes, when they opened, were unmistakably human, bright and piercing. And a shock of light brown hair crowned his head. William's heart clenched. A lump rose in his throat. "He's beautiful." Kara's tears glistened as she held their newborn close. "Our Alexander." Krell's last gambit. Krell roared, shattering the moment. His voice was madness, desperation, obsession made flesh and steel. "No, that child belongs to me, to the Syndicate. He is the future, my future." He lunged, metal claws extended. William reacted on instinct. He grabbed a nearby pulse carbine, pivoted, and fired point blank. The blast staggered Krell, but the monster barely slowed. "William!" Kara cried, clutching Alexander tighter. William planted himself in Krell's path, every muscle straining. "You'll never touch them." Krell's claws slammed into him, knocking him sprawling. Pain tore through William's ribs, but he rolled, snatching up a plasma grenade from a fallen hunter's belt. He thumbed it live, the activation light burning in his grip. Krell sneered. "You wouldn't dare. You'd kill them too." William's teeth bared in a savage grin. "Try me." The vacuum. He slammed the grenade against the emergency override panel. The shuttle bay's containment field flickered just for a heartbeat. But it was enough. Air roared out a violent gale, ripping through the chamber. Hunters screamed as they were yanked into space, their bodies vanishing into the debris field. Krell staggered his damaged cybernetics, failing to hold him steady. His claws scraped uselessly against the deck as the vacuum dragged him backward. His final scream was cut short as he was ripped from the bay, his body spinning helplessly into the void, consumed by the very abyss he sought to master. The field snapped back into place, sealing the chamber. Silence crashed down, broken only by Kara's ragged breathing and Alexander's soft newborn cries. The aftermath. William staggered to his feet, ribs screaming, vision swimming. He stumbled toward them, collapsing to his knees beside the cot Kara had dragged close. She looked up at him, her face radiant despite exhaustion. "We did it!" He reached out, touching Alexander's tiny hand. The child's fingers curled instinctively around his own. William's vision blurred, but not from pain. "Yeah, beautiful. We did." The colonies stand. Above them, New Haven's defense grid blazed. The Syndicate fleet caught between the colony's platforms, and the asteroid field was shredded piece by piece. Their arrogance had underestimated frontier grit. The hunters who remained on the ground were cut off, hunted down by colonists who refused to bow. When the all-clear sirens finally echoed through the domes, New Haven stood bloodied but unbroken, and in a forgotten shuttle bay, A new family human Verdante hybrid held the galaxy's newest miracle, the Oath. Later, as Kara drifted into exhausted sleep, William sat with Alexander cradled in his arms. The baby's strange eyes blinked up at him, unafraid, curious, impossibly alive. William leaned close, his voice a rough whisper. I don't know what the galaxy's going to throw at us, but I swear, kid, I'll protect you. Both of you. No matter what it takes. No Syndicate. No Empire. No one. The child gurgled softly, gripping his father's finger. William smiled fierce and unyielding. What the hell am I supposed to do with you, simple? Love you, protect you, and raise a human who'll make the stars remember why they fear us. New dawn in New Haven. The colony of New Haven lived up to its name. Smoke still clung to the domes. Repair crews worked around the clock. Patching hull breaches and defense batteries still glowed hot from overuse. But the colony stood. Syndicate ships littered the asteroid belt, reduced to drifting wreckage. Survivors were few, and none escaped Imperial attention. The invasion had failed, and in a small corner of the colony, life began anew. The hybrid child, William sat by the viewport of their new quarters, Alexander cradled against his chest. The boy's tiny hand curled around his father's thumb, his grip surprisingly strong. His skin shimmered faintly green undertones, shifting with the light, while his bright human eyes followed the slow rotation of the asteroids outside. His watching William murmured, already curious about the stars. Behind him, Kara stirred her red hair, spilling across the cot as she shifted upright. Exhaustion clung to her, but her glow, soft now no longer blinding, still seemed to illuminate the room. Verdante children opened their eyes sooner, she said softly, but his are different, human, bright. William kissed the boy's forehead. Means he'll see the world clearer than either of us. Kara's lips curved into a tired smile. You sound certain again. I have to be, he said simply. The council's offer. Later that day, they were summoned to the colony council chambers. The chamber was nothing grand, just a hollowed-out asteroid core with a rough-hewn table at its center. Councilors gathered miners and traders who'd risen to leadership through grit, not politics. Their faces were weary but proud. A stocky human named Marek spoke first. McCartney, Verdante, we owe you both. William shifted uneasily, Alexander asleep in his arms. You don't owe me anything. We just got caught in it. An older councillor shook her head. No, you stood against the Syndicate when we might have buckled. You bought us time, and in return... Her eyes softened on Kara and the child. We offer you sanctuary, permanent residence. New Haven will protect you as its own. Kara's breath hitched. Sanctuary. William's jaw tightened. You know what that means. The Syndicate won't stop. They'll send more, maybe even the Empire if they catch wind of him. He looked down at Alexander. He's not just our son anymore. He's a symbol, a prize. Marek nodded. Which is why we'll hide him. Here in the belt, we know how to vanish. For the first time in days, Kara let herself exhale. Then we accept. A family forged. That night in their new quarters, a room larger than the last with a real viewport and proper walls, William lay beside Kara, Alexander between them. Kara traced her finger over their child's cheek. Her voice hushed. I never expected this. When I stowed away in that container, I thought I was running to survive. Instead, I found you. William smiled faintly. And I thought I was signing up for another dead-end shift. Instead, I found a reason. Her eyes glistened. What the hell am I supposed to do with you? He chuckled softly. Same thing I'm supposed to do with you. Love, protect, build. Their hands entwined over Alexander's tiny form, the three of them bound together in the fragile quiet. The whisper of tomorrow. But William knew peace was only temporary. He sat by the viewport, after Kara drifted to sleep, his rifle leaning against the wall, Alexander breathing softly in his crib. Outside, the wreckage of Syndicate ships floated like tombstones. He whispered into the dark. They'll come again. Krell was just the first. They'll want him, his hand clenched into a fist. But they'll have to go through me first, through us. He could already picture it, Alexander, growing training, carrying both Verdante grace and human fire. A child who could one day unify or terrify the galaxy. The thought made William smile fierce and unyielding. Let them come, he murmured. This time we'll be ready. Epilogue. Among the stars. Weeks later, the colony held a quiet ceremony. Not for victory, not for politics, but for resilience. Miners, traders, mercenaries all gathered under the dome's glass canopy, starlight pouring over them. At the center stood William and Kara Alexander in their arms. A counselor raised their hand. Today we honor not just survival, but birth. A child born of two worlds, human and Verdante. Proof that the galaxy cannot cage us. Proof that life endures. The crowd cheered, voices echoing against the dome. For once, William allowed himself to believe it wasn't just noise. He looked at Kara, her eyes bright with pride, then at Alexander, who blinked up at the starlight with impossible calm. And he thought, what the hell am I supposed to do with you? His heart answered before his mind could. Everything, whatever it takes, because you are the future. As the colony roared in celebration, William McCartney held his family close, staring out at the infinite night. And for the first time, he didn't feel like a fugitive, or a mercenary, or a man running from his past. He felt like exactly what he had become. A father, a protector, a human worth fearing. Rumors in the dark. The weeks after the Syndicate assault passed in a fragile calm. New Haven's domes echoed with the clang of repairs welders, sealing hull fractures, engineers, recalibrating the weary defense grid. Life returned, but slower, cautious. Every shadow felt like it might hold another hunter. William threw himself into the work. He patched hulls, trained volunteers, walked the corridors until he knew every access hatch by heart. He became a fixture of the colony's defense network, the quiet human with eyes like steel who never stopped moving. But when his shift ended, he always came back to them. Kara and Alexander, the child who changed everything. It was impossible not to notice. Alexander grew faster than any human infant. In mere weeks, his eyes tracked with uncanny focus. By the second month, he could stand unsteady but determined. His babbling carried tonal inflections, like Verdante song, layered harmonics that resonated oddly in the air. Miners who passed William in the halls whispered about the child glowing faintly in Kara's arms. Some muttered in fear, others in awe. A miracle, a weapon, a sign. William heard them all jaw tight. He hated how they looked at his son, as if Alexander was something other than a boy. One night, as he rocked the child to sleep, he whispered fiercely, "You're not a symbol. You're my son. That's all." But even as he said it, he knew it wasn't true. The Empire takes notice. The first sign came through intercepted transmissions. William sat in the defense control room scanning logs. A junior operator flagged a strange ping on long-range comms. Imperial encryption fractured but readable. William leaned over his brow, furrowing as the words appeared. Hybrid offspring confirmed. Verdante genetics stabilized by human pairing. Potential asset for biomilitary programs. Imperial Science Division requests retrieval. His blood turned cold. He snapped the log shut, eyes scanning the room. None of the others seemed to grasp what they'd seen. He slipped the data onto his private drive, jaw clenched. They knew. The Empire knew. Confrontation. That night back in their quarters, William told Kara. She sat rigid on the cot, Alexander playing quietly at her side. Her face went pale, her red hair spilling forward as she whispered, "They'll come for him. Just like the Syndicate." William paced fists tight. "Then we move first. New Haven's strong, but if the Empire throws its weight, this colony won't stand a week. Where would we go? Anywhere they aren't. Fringe sectors. Pirate space. Somewhere we can vanish." Kara shook her head slowly. "You can't keep running forever, not with a child. Sooner or later they'll find us." He stopped pacing. Their eyes locked, his sharp and haunted, hers calm and burning. "Then we fight," William said. Rumors spread. The council called a meeting days later. Word had leaked. Not about the Empire's transmission, but about the child. Councillor Marek slammed his fist on the table. "We can't keep pretending the boy is already being noticed. Traders speak of him. Smugglers gossip. You know how fast news spreads in the Outer Rim." A Verdende councillor leaned forward, her gaze sharp on Kara. "Our people tell legends of hybrids. The child could unite us or doom us. The galaxy will not ignore this forever." William's voice cut through the chamber like a blade. "He's not a weapon, not a tool. He's my son." "Yours, yes," Marek said grimly. "But also the galaxy's problem. You think the Empire will let him live free. You think the Syndicate won't rebuild and come again. He's the spark of something bigger, McCartney. And sparks draw fire." Private promises. Back in their quarters, Kara held Alexander close, her voice low. "They're right. He's more than just ours." William dropped heavily into a chair, rubbing his face with both hands. "I don't give a damn about legends or empires. I just want him safe." She touched his arm gently. "Then maybe you need to stop thinking like a mercenary and start thinking like a leader." He stared at her stunned. "Leader? You've already become one. The people follow you. They watch how you fight, how you protect, how you refuse to bow. If the galaxy comes for us, they'll need more than a soldier. They'll need someone to rally behind." Her words sank deep, heavy as stone. He wanted to argue, but in his chest he already knew she was right. The shadow of Krell. The following week, as William patrolled the outer docks, a scavenger ship limped into port. The captain staggered out, his body marked with burns and scars. His eyes held terror. He told a story, half delirious, half prophecy, of Syndicate remnants rallying around a name, of a figure who had survived the void. A man-machine scarred but alive, Krell the captain whispered before collapsing into unconsciousness. William's hand tightened on his rifle. Rage, cold and sharp, spread through his veins, so the bastard still lived. The oath renewed. That night, as Alexander slept in his crib, William stood at the viewport, staring into the infinite night. Kara joined him silently, slipping her hand into his. "He's still out there," William said, his voice low, dangerous. "Krell. And now the Empire knows. They'll all come, one after the other. For him, for us." Kara leaned her head against his shoulder. "Then let them." William turned to her, his jaw set, eyes burning with iron resolve. "No more running. If they want him, they'll have to take him from me. From us. From all of New Haven." His hand pressed against the glass, against the stars beyond. "What the hell am I supposed to do with you?" he whispered. Eyes flicking to Kara, then to their son. The answer was the same as it had always been. "Everything, whatever it takes. until the stars themselves bow. Defender of mankind, the silence didn't last. 3 weeks after the battle for New Haven, the void outside the asteroid belt shimmered with the blue flare of hyperspace ruptures. Ships emerged one by one, sleek angular, bristling with weapons. Imperial, not Syndicate scavengers, not pirate frigates. The Empire itself. Colonial sensors screamed alarms. Civilian chatter spiked into panic. The Syndicate was one thing: outlaws, slavers, predators. But the Empire was different. The Empire was law. And when it arrived at your doorstep, it came to take. The delegation, the Imperial cruiser Dauntless, docked at New Haven's main bay. Its insignia gleamed sharp against the dust-streaked walls. William stood waiting with the Council, Kara hidden, deep in the colony's tunnels with Alexander. His rifle hung at his side, but his stance radiated iron. His eyes never left the descending figures. At their head strode Prefect Varos, tall, immaculate, his pale face carved with authority. His voice carried like cold steel. New Haven Council, you harbor contraband. Councillor Marek stepped forward. We harbor refugees, survivors. Varros's gaze swept the chamber unblinking. We are aware of the hybrid child, human and verdante. The Emperor takes great interest in such anomalies. For the stability of the galaxy, he must be taken into Imperial custody. William's hand twitched near his rifle. He forced his voice calm, deadly calm. He's not a specimen. He's my son. Varros's lips curved faintly, the ghost of a smirk. A child born of unnatural union belongs to the state, to the Empire. Surely you understand mercenary. Ex-mercenary, William corrected, stepping forward. His voice sharpened like a blade. Now I'm just a father, and no one, not Syndicate, not Empire, is taking him. The chamber rippled with tension. Colonial guards, shifted miners, tightened their grips on rifles. Behind Varos, Imperial soldiers bristled. The galaxy held its breath. The first clash. Imperial demands escalated into orders, orders into threats. By dusk, the Dauntless had launched drones across the colony, scanning sector by sector. William moved like a ghost, leading teams through maintenance shafts, rerouting systems, sabotaging scans. Every trick he'd learned as a mercenary, every dirty trick from battlefields across a dozen systems, he used them now not for credits, but for his family. In the tunnels, Kara watched him with eyes full of fire and fear. You can't keep this up forever. He crouched beside her, brushing a strand of red hair from her face. I don't need forever, just long enough to show them we're not prey. Alexander babbled softly from his sling across Kara's chest. His tiny hand reached toward William, glowing faintly in the dim light. William caught the hand, kissed it gently. I'll keep you safe, little one, he whispered, even if it means burning the stars. Krell's shadow, but the Empire wasn't the only hunter. That same night, a damaged vessel drifted into the belt, ignored by Imperial sensors. Scavengers tried to board it. Few returned. Those who did spoke in broken gasps of a figure's scarred cybernetic eyes, burning red, slaughtering them in silence. Krell had survived, and he had followed. The siege. By the third day, New Haven was a pressure cooker. Imperial troops occupied the docks. Drones combed the domes. The Council whispered of surrender, of handing the child over. Fear gnawed at even the bravest. William stood before them, eyes blazing. You give him up. You give up everything. Today it's my son. Tomorrow it's your children. The Empire doesn't stop. The Syndicate doesn't stop. The only reason we're still here is because we fought. His words ignited sparks in weary hearts. Miners raised fists. Traders gripped rifles. Even the council wavered. Kara, holding Alexander, met his gaze from the edge of the chamber. And for the first time, William saw it in their eyes' belief, not just in survival, in him, the final choice. That night, Prefect Varos confronted William privately in the command dome. "You could have been useful," Varos said, his voice smooth, dangerous. "The Empire rewards loyalty. Give us the child and you'll be elevated, protected. Defy us and New Haven burns." William stepped close until their faces nearly touched. His voice was low, a growl from deep in his chest. "Burn us and we'll show the stars what humans do when we have nothing left to lose." Varos studied him for a long moment, then smiled thinly. "So be it." The assault. At dawn, the attack began. Imperial drones swarmed the domes. Troopers advanced through corridors, their rifles cutting down any resistance. Panic surged, but William's voice rallied the colonists. "Stand your ground for New Haven, for our children." The colony erupted into battle. William fought at the front, plasma rifle in hand, moving with lethal precision. Every shot was a promise, every enemy downed, a vow kept. Kara held Alexander in the shelter of the tunnels, her own weapon ready, her eyes glowing with fury. Then the walls shook. Not from Imperials, from something worse. Krell, the half-machine monster, tore through bulkheads, his hunters at his back. His voice crackled over open comms, a howl of rage. "The child is mine. The protector." William met him in the central junction. The two locked eyes, man and monster, father and predator. "You just don't quit." William spat, raising his rifle. "You made me what I am." Krell hissed, metal claws flexing. "And now you'll see what that means." Their clash shook the corridor. Plasma bolts, steel claws, fists and fury. Krell's strength was monstrous, his cybernetics whirring with every blow. But William's rage was sharper, his love hotter. Every strike, every counter wasn't for him. It was for Kara, for Alexander. For the family Krell would never touch. Bruised, bloodied ribs screaming, William finally forced him back against the airlock doors. He activated the controls with his last ounce of strength. The blast of decompression ripped Krell into the void. This time there was no coming back. The stand. By dusk, the Imperials retreated. Their commander lay dead, struck down in the chaos. Their ships harried by New Haven's defense platforms, and William's sabotage limped from the belt. The colony had held. Again, William stood amid the wreckage, rifle in one hand, Alexander cradled in the other. His son's glow pulsed faintly, harmonizing with the heartbeat in William's chest. The colonists gathered around him, their voices rising in ragged cheers. They didn't see a mercenary anymore. They saw a leader, a protector. Kara stepped to his side, her hand on his shoulder, her eyes burning with pride. William raised Alexander high, his voice carrying across the battered dome. "This is my son, ours. Proof that we are more than prey. Proof that we are more than slaves. The Empire, the Syndicate, they will keep coming, and we will keep standing, because we are human, and we do not bow." The colony roared, fists, raised voices shaking the dome. Epilogue. Defender of mankind. Later, in the quiet of their quarters, William lay with Kara and Alexander between them. His body ached. His face was bruised, but his heart was steady. Kara traced her fingers over his scars. "What the hell am I supposed to do with you?" she whispered, smiling through her exhaustion. He kissed her softly, his lips brushing her hair. "Love me, trust me, and help me raise a son the galaxy will never forget." He looked down at Alexander, whose eyes blinked up at him, human bright, verdante glowing. William's voice was low, fierce, unyielding. "You are Alexander, defender of mankind, and as long as I breathe, no one will take you from us." Outside, the stars stretched infinite and waiting. And for the first time, William didn't see exile or escape. He saw destiny,